Hey, buddy.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, we're going to be talking about what conservatives get wrong about sexual predators.
Surely nothing. Surely they are the experts in sexual... Well, I mean...
They kind of are.
But not in the way that they should be. But yes, we will... So, trigger warning.
Yeah.
If that conversation, sexual predation of children is triggering for you, don't just skip the
second half of the show.
The last segment of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
But we will try to be I don't know. We're gonna goof on it, but we're gonna be real.
Yeah.
So
that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah.
Here's something story that caught my eye this week from Minneapolis. We don't talk about Minneapolis enough. First of all, I love saying the name. Minneapolis, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a church
it's the smallest of the Appalachians.
There's a church up in Minneapolis that has solved a problem.
Oh.
They some neighborhood crime.
Okay. Churches tend not to actually solve problems, but I'm willing to hear you out.
There was a gas station next to their church that was one of those problem gas stations. You know the kind. Everybody knows the problem gas station, right, in their area. We've got a couple in my neighborhood. And they actually end up using a solution that one of our gas stations used a variation of in order to solve the crime problem at this gas station. This was the kind of, this is the kind of place that, like, there were, gunshots, fighting, drug deals going on at the gas station. Right.
Okay.
And so this church, let's see, it's the Real Believers Faith Center Church.
God, you know what? I hate him already. I just hate that name.
It's headed up by Bishop Larry Cook and his wife, Dr. Sharon Cook.
God damn it.
I wonder what
it's
she's
getting
a doctor
worse.
of.
Everything's getting so much worse.
So they're like, damn, that gas station's a problem. So they bought it.
Oh, now it's a gas. Now it's gas for Jesus.
Now it's a Christian gas station where they blare gospel music from the station's speakers. And that has had the effect of actually keeping the problems largely away. Because if there's one
work
thing,
for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to that gas station. Like, gospel music. They also play church services live over the loudspeaker system at the gas station. Also, I'm sure keeping people away.
Yeah.
Bishop Cook, he has this to say. The esteemed Bishop Cook. The gas station is where families come. It's where people that are hurting come. What is this? What gas station is this?
Literally, my 6-year-old needs gas and grandma's feeling real low, so she's probably going to head out there too. What are you talking about?
It says, and he also says it's where people who want to work mischief go. Right?
Working mischief? Is that a thing?
That's where they come, meaning that's where they go to the gas station. And so he says, that's what me and Dr. Sharon are here to do.
Oh, God, he called his wife Dr. Sharon?
We're here to care about the city. We are here to make a change and help the hopeless. Anyway.
What if my hopelessness is about your gas station? How do you help me with that?
I mean, I have to say, as somebody who lives in a neighborhood that has some issues.
Yours is a mixed bag neighborhood. It's true.
Yeah. We've got the Wayne's Corner, which is a real problem, gas station. But down the road from Wayne's Corner is a 7-Eleven that blasts Pavarotti music.
Oh, really?
It's always Pavarotti, usually some grand aria. And their theory is this music is so wretched that it will keep people away. And it's like, and it's loud. You get out of the car and you're just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But they had people hanging out and they felt unsavory, an unsavory crowd hanging out at their 7-Eleven.
Oh, good Lord.
And I mean, it works. You don't want to spend too much time there.
Indeed.
And I have no problem with like the music that's being played. I'm just like, this is obnoxious.
Change it up a little bit. Pavarotti's nice and all, but like, you know, there is more to classical music, to opera even, than Pavarotti.
I don't know, Dan. Anyway, so they're going to use the proceeds to do some from the sale of gas and snacks to do some good in their community. Personally, I just think they saw a business opportunity because I mean churches we know are on the decline, and they're probably hedging a little bit against losing membership.
Yeah. Or they're running a business, calling it a ministry, and not paying taxes.
I mean, they do have to pay taxes on their business endeavors.
I don't know, man.
I mean, there's probably some tricky accounting that gets money out of it and over to the church. I'm not sure how all that would work, but yeah, a business is a business.
I would not be surprised if that business were registered as a nonprofit ministry. That would not shock me in the least.
Then they need to be giving away gas.
Right? All right. Well, I'm going to take us to the Vatican, where the Pope is now, for the first time in his popedom, the only Pope.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to specify with the Pope?
Right.
Are we talking about the Pope or the Pope?
Are we talking about one of the popes? Is this Pope capitalized? What Pope are we talking about? It was a potpourri before, and now it is a singular Pope. Il Papa.
That's correct, yeah.
Why is it il? I mean, it's il because, anyway.
Don't get into Italian. We're not going to do Italian class, Dan.
Okay, fine. Okay, so Pope Francis, who has had a grumpy German guy looking over his shoulder his entire poping, now has no grumpy German guy. And I, for one, personally think it is no coincidence that suddenly he gives an interview with the Associated Press, and when asked about laws that oppress homosexuals, like, for instance, Florida's Don't Say Gay law, or any country's laws that either ban them or have anti-sodomy laws or any of that sort of thing.
Or where they execute gay people.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
I'm looking at you, Saudi Arabia.
Right? Yeah. Like, any of those laws.
Like, there are places in this world. I mean, this isn't just Don't Say Gay, right? That's bad. But, like, gay people's lives are, like, you know, in danger in a lot of places in this world.
Indeed. Pope Francis has literally come out and said that those are unjust laws. All of those laws.
Okay.
It's look, a lot of people on our side of the thing are going to be like, this is so little, it's so late in the game, blah, blah, blah. But literally, Pope Francis said about homosexuality that it is not a crime. He said, yes.
But is it a sin?
He says, yes, but it's a sin. Fine. This is he's literally like having a little conversation with himself. He's taking both sides of this. He said, it's not a crime. Yes, but it's a sin. Fine. But first, let's distinguish between a sin and a crime.
Oh.
He's doing a separation of church and state thing. I think that's good. He said, and then he added, it's also a sin to lack charity with one another. Which I think is exactly the right tack that a Catholic needs to take. Now, eventually, I don't give a fuck what churches do. I want them to be out of step with society because more and more people will leave.
Absolutely.
I think that's fine with me.
But like this logic of like, well, let's separate the church and state perspectives here.
Yeah.
What about abortion, Catholic Church?
Well,
Right? Can't you be against it as a church and say that it's a sin or whatever, right? And also be like, yeah, but like people need to make their own way in their life and make their own decisions about things that are,
I mean,
clearly not crimes.
the most prominent Catholic of the United States of America, Joe Biden,
Yeah.
takes exactly that tack.
But the Pope doesn't.
Well, who knows? We
Now
may
that
be
he's
seeing-
unleashed,
Yeah, he might go rogue.
now that he doesn't have to worry about his phone ringing every time he opens his mouth.
It's Benedict. You must do it. We have to talk. That's how I imagine Benedict talked.
I think it was a little more. It wasn't obviously wasn't Harvey Firestein, which is I think is where I was about to go with it.
But it is, I mean, well, one should just picture Emperor Palpatine,
Right.
I suppose.
Yeah. I think that's the appropriate one. All right.
This is, now you must come into my lair and defend yourself.
Anyway, whatever,
Francis.
however Benedict talked, in my mind, it will always be some sort of cartoonishly evil voice.
Hello? Is this Francis?
I like
Francis
your Harvey
Francis on
Firestein
the
version.
phone. I'll put Francis on the
that might
phone.
be delightful.
What do you...
Can we hire him to play the Pope?
A better voice has never existed in showbiz. I will say that. I love it's so, I mean, of course you have to love it because it's so distinctive, right?
Right.
But he's such a funny character too. Anyway.
Yeah. It just always, to me, it always sounds like something, it sounds like throat cancer or something.
It clearly wasn't. How does your voice get to that point? And it isn't something degenerative.
Yeah.
It's just been his voice. Like what did
His
he
whole
sound
life?
like when he was, like did he have like a little kid's voice, go through puberty and then just like have that voice?
I like the idea of he's in kindergarten and, the teacher's like Firestein and he's like, here.
All right. Dan, this is a
Yes.
surprise. This is a huge surprise story from this week.
Uh-oh.
LDS, that's Latter-day Saints or members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day
The
Saints.
fucking Mormons. Just
The-
call them the Mormons.
The Mormon church employees, their insurance now is going to be covering birth control starting in February.
Wow.
This is a huge step from a church that has also left the decision about birth control up to the individual, right? These are not a hardline church on the issue of birth control.
Unless you ask some of the members.
Unless you ask some of them. And clearly some of those people had some sway with the church in their decision previously to not cover birth control.
Right.
And so like when you think about the vast number of people in Utah who actually work either directly for the church or for, its institutions like BYU, right? They had no, they could have paid for it out of pocket, but their health insurance, which is provided by Deseret Mutual Benefit Administrators, which is owned.
DMBA. That was my health insurance all my growing up years because both my parents worked for the church.
Yeah. It's owned by the church as well.
Right.
Which is an important detail, I think. So not only would the church just not do it, DMBA wasn't going to cover it. So this went out to employees. It says coverage will include oral contraceptives, contraceptive patches, vaginal rings, intrauterine devices, and injectable contraceptives. Emergency contraception, such as morning after pills, will remain uncovered. Surgical sterilization will stay uncovered except in certain cases, among them being the mother is 40 or older and or has already
Too late for her.
and or has already had 5 pregnancies or live births.
Wow.
So once you've had 5 kids, all right, yeah, You've procreated.
You're
fine.
all right, fine. Which is funny because people may not know this, but 5 is not a large number for Mormons.
Historically, you're right. I think 5 is now the large Mormon family.
That's true. Who
Because
can afford 5 kids these days?
Yeah, like it used to be like 8 or 9.
We have
when we were
mutual
growing up.
friends who have at least 9. Yeah.
That was the big Mormon family. Not everybody was doing that, but like it was expected. There were a couple families in every ward that would have like just monstrously large families. And those were always fun places to go play because you could get away with murder, right?
Because no one was paying attention by that point.
I had some friends down the street who had a monstrously huge Mormon family. And
I love how judgy the phrasing is. Monstrously huge.
There were like 9 kids by the time it was all done. Yeah. It was 9. It was like 9. That's just some suburban mom.
Yeah.
Right? This was not a wealthy area.
We talked last week
some...
about virtue signaling. You want to talk about virtue signaling? That's in Mormonism. Having a big family proved how much better you were than other people.
Yeah, that's probably true.
All right. Well, there you go. Birth control for the Morms.
Yeah.
I don't think we need more Mormons, so I'm going to say I'm in favor of it.
Control your births.
Yeah.
Mormons.
Well, I'm going to take us to the land, the faraway land of Twitter, the Twitterverse, as it is as it is known.
Seems to be getting farther and farther.
The land of the lost, the place that Elon Musk destroyed. Oh my God! And it is Musk has been fascinating to watch as he continually reinstates people and talks nonstop about freedom of speech, First Amendment, thinking that it somehow applies to his platform, which it doesn't.
Right.
That is a private platform, but he sure likes that talking point.
Right.
Until it blows up on him.
Right.
Which it has done continually since he took over.
Right.
And since he destroyed their standards group. So
Right.
one of the people that he recently re-allowed back on to Twitter was our good friend Nick Fuentes.
Oh, Jesus.
We've played some clips of his. He's a real peach. He's friend and probable lover of Kanye West. That is just my personal conjecture. It's not probably true, but loves him. Yay. He literally said recently that he is ride or die for Ye.
Oh, wow.
Just
okay.
so you know.
Okay.
He's a strong Christian with what he would consider to be strong Christian values. As a matter of fact, I'm going to let him talk about his Christian values right now. I'm going to just play a quick clip. We don't normally do this in the stories, but I'm going to do it.
We love Hitler, not in a fucking gay way, okay? We love Hitler in a Christian way, you freak, not in a gay way. Anyway, in like a awesome way, okay? In like a we love Trump way, you fucking liberal.
So that's who we're talking about here.
Right. Yeah. He loves Hitler the same way that he loves Trump.
And not in a gay way, you fucking
Right.
liberal. Any guesses as to how long his reinstatement to Twitter lasted before he was summarily just redismissed from Twitter?
35 minutes.
It was about a day. He got a day out of it.
Really?
He got a 24-hour period.
And they're like, oh yeah. That's right. Wait, he was banned for a reason?
Yeah, exactly. It's a disaster over there. I just,
I'm surprised the thing is still up and running.
When you buy a thing and you throw it into a dumpster and then light it on fire, you can't just tell everybody that everything's going better.
All right.
Anyway, someone maybe should throw Fuentes into a dumpster. I'm not saying light him on fire.
That's
or anything.
I heard that
I'm not advocating violence. I'm saying metaphorically, someone should throw Nick Fuentes into a dumpster and light him on fire.
Well-
Metaphorically.
Jesus, Dan. I don't know what you're actually saying.
I don't either. I just don't like that guy. It's weird.
We do not advocate for violence on this show.
No, genuinely not. Genuinely, we don't.
Yeah.
But he needs to go.
Yeah, he just needs to be deplatformed from everywhere.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's different than what you said.
Metaphorically lighting him on fire in
All
a
right.
dumpster.
All right. Well, here's another dumpster fire, I suppose. David Miscavige.
Oh, this
is the leader of the Church of Scientology.
the Grand Dragon of Scientology.
Scientology. Where does one start? Really? When talking about
we can't afford
Scientology.
to lawyer up, so we don't start too far
Yeah.
into it.
No, that's probably true. I'm going to tread lightly. Controversy seems to be following the Church of Scientology these days.
Shocking. Shocking. They've
there are-
been so good at avoiding controversy for so long.
There are serious allegations, including allegations of trafficking human beings, right? And there's a
Yeah.
lawsuit that has been filed. There are 3 plaintiffs who formerly belonged to Scientology. They were part of the Sea Org. And they claim that they were forced into the church as kids and worked into adulthood for the ridiculously low pay that the church, the Scientologist church, pays.
Yeah, but
to
they
people in that
signed that
situation.
billion-year contract. That was
Yeah.
on them.
Fair enough. Anyway, and amongst other sort of legal problems, Miscavige has sort of disappeared, in large part because the lawyers are having him served, of course, because there's this case being filed against him.
Right.
And those that would, deliver, what do you call it? Serve him the papers, right, of the lawsuit. He hasn't been seen in months, apparently. He has been evading them, and they keep showing up and to various headquarters and offices and whatnot of the Scientologist church-ish, whatever it is. And the guards are just like, we don't know where he is. We don't know where he
Can't
is.
sue me if I'm not there.
Yeah. And so, and that's such a great tactic because it's also one that doesn't end up working, right? Because last month,
Postponed things for a long time.
last month, one of the plaintiff's lawyers filed documents with the court saying that Miscavige cannot be permitted to continue his gamesmanship. And a federal judge is going to be deciding soon whether Miscavige can be considered officially served at this point. Because, apparently this just isn't a real tactic, right? No, we know about it. That's why you've disappeared.
Right.
Right.
Well, maybe he's just visiting his wife.
Who has been missing since 2007.
I'm kidding. He killed her.
Oh my God.
He had her murdered.
Her lawyer took 5 years to issue a statement saying any reports that Shelley is missing are false. 5 years it took.
She just hasn't been seen.
Yeah.
That's all. That doesn't mean she's missing.
Yeah. So whatever hole she's in, he's
Maybe he's there.
Maybe he's there. Maybe he's on some ship. He's just gone.
They do have a boat. They have a very large boat.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's one to follow. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to David Miscavige.
I know. Where are you?
Where in the world is David Miscavige?
He's playing cards with Jimmy Hoffa.
Well,
All right. I'm going to close this out with, I think we've talked about this a little bit. But there is a big campaign, a $1 billion campaign out there of billboards and ads on YouTube. And literally they plan to spend $1 billion. They are stepping up their game. They're getting it. They're going as big as it gets.
Okay.
When you watch the Super Bowl this year,
Yeah.
you're going to be seeing along with the Toyota ads and the various
Pepsi, Coke.
Cheetos or whatever.
Yeah.
You're gonna be seeing Jeebus.
What?
And the ad campaign, it's literally called "He Gets Us."
yeah.
I think that it's peppy. He gets us. It's got a little zing to it. It feels like it's a slogan.
Because
But
that's
I
what
don't
Jesus
think
needed.
it actually means anything.
Jesus. He gets us.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus. He gets us.
Like,
Yeah,
I mean, and some of them are going to be like, it's things like Jesus confronted racism with love. Jesus was a refugee.
Right.
Jesus was sick of hypocrisy too.
he gets us.
He gets us. I don't think it's going to land the way they want it to. Literally, they did a huge billboard in Las Vegas
Oh no.
that says Jesus went all in too. A
Oh,
poker reference.
Right.
I think they think it's clever.
He went all in. Was he a gambler?
That might be what they're saying. I'm not going to speak for them, but it seems like a possible interpretation of what they're saying.
Did he not? He didn't know if it was going to work or not. Like when he went in to like die for everybody's sins, he was like, "This may not work."
He's like, maybe
Like it sort of it works on paper. Right?
taking a big risk here.
We've charted it all out, and it seems like this should work.
Dad assured me
But there
everything would go great.
I do still have a few questions about all
Yeah.
of this.
There are some big question marks. Now, the thing that we didn't know before was where this campaign was getting its money.
Oh,
We had our suspicions. I
Okay.
certainly had my suspicions.
right.
You're going to be shocked.
Mhm.
Brace yourselves.
Uh-oh. Okay.
It has come out that it was that idiot Green, David Green from Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby is paying for this?
Shocking. Just shocking.
What about Chick-fil-A?
No,
There's no
no
Chick-fil-A
sign of
money?
that. But
What
no, the
about,
Green family has
Forever
shown,
21. Forever 21? What are
Well,
some other big Christian-owned businesses?
In-N-Out Burger.
In-N-Out Burger. Is it?
I mean, maybe. Oh, In-N-Out. Oh no, In-N-Out Burger is definitely if you look on their
okay.
packation, like look underneath your cup, you'll see a quote from Revelations
Oh,
or a
shut
citation to Revelations, not a quote.
up.
Revelation, I should say.
Mm.
We'll always make that a plural. Anyway, I'll tell you this: that Green family has really done smart things with their billions.
Yeah.
They did this. First, it was the Bible Museum where they bought countless faked, priceless artifacts, and now it's this.
You know what? I
Throwing their
applaud
money away.
them doing exactly that. I applaud
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yes.
good.
More.
Like, this is the best you can do with your money.
Yeah,
Great.
go for it.
Yeah.
I don't think this will win over a single. Here's what it will do.
Millennial? It's going after millennials, right? Isn't it sort of targeted at the
Oh, it must. It
millennials
must.
and the Zoomers?
Millennials and Zennials and
Yeah.
Gen Zs and whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, they're the target, obviously. It will have exactly zero effect converting anybody. The only thing it will do is maybe make a few people who are already Christians, make them feel a little more in group.
Oh.
It'll give them a little warm in group feeling as they watch the Super Bowl. and then literally the collective eye rolling of everyone under the age of 40 will probably listen for it.
You'll be able
Put
to hear it.
The second you see this on your TV screen, hit mute and just listen to your neighborhood because you'll probably be able to hear the eyes rolling.
It'll be a seismic reading. of some kind.
There may even be a collective sigh.
A little. The Earth will lose a second off of its orbit around the Earth or the sun.
Yeah, as everyone just goes, ugh. Okay.
Oh, it's amazing.
There you go. I'm taking a big risk here. I don't even know if the Super Bowl already happened, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not paying attention at all to football. Anyway, if you would like to talk about your interaction with Jesus billboards or, ads on the sports, please feel free to write into us, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank.
Dan!
Listen, we already played some awfulness from Nick Fuentes earlier, so
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to take us down a path. This is an attorney or religious right guy from named Matt Staver. A boomer, if ever there was one.
Okay.
Who literally is tackling the real problems of our time, including that terrible problem of what do you do if a kid wants to come to a school, but the kid's parents are gay?
Oh, dear God.
What do you do? He's going to solve all of our problems for us. So let's listen to what he has to say.
If I were running the school, I would not allow that student to come into the school that is from a same-sex household. Personally, that's what I would do. And I would not allow a student to stay there. And I know other people may have other views on that, because on the one hand, you want to be able to have your ministry as something that's transformative. But look, my view is that whether it's certainly K through 8, these kids are not, you and I might be able to engage in this cultural war and battle and be biblically grounded, but these kids are not prepared for that. And it is a real disservice to put these kids in the situation, particularly in a Christian school that ought to be a safe environment for them, where they can become very confused, and what they experience at that level can be life-changing for the rest of their lives. That's like putting kids in a viper pit. They're not ready for that. Christians not being grounded in doctrine, no matter how the winds blow, but being changed by personal experiences, is a problem. In fact, that is the reason why this Respect for Marriage Act passed in the United States Senate. All of those people that voted for it, they were on record that they were in favor of marriage as a union of a man and woman. All of them. Why did they change? We know from some of their staffers, well, they changed because either someone in their family or people that they know, they found out are homosexual or in same-sex relationships. So they couldn't bring themselves to vote for the right thing that they knew what they're supposed to do. But they didn't do it because of personal experiences. And so be very cautious in protecting those children and do what you need to do to protect them.
Welp, there you go.
Okay.
How are you feeling about that, Frank?
I don't like. I do not like.
Just don't allow the kid in the school.
Don't allow the kid in the school.
Literally no talk of what to do with the kid, like where that kid goes instead, but just
keep him out of the Christian school, right? He can go do whatever. He doesn't care what that kid does, right? But I love there's this what are they going to do as statistically what is just going to continue to happen is families just continue to have gay relatives popping up, whether it's your own kid or a niece or a nephew or whatever it is. Like
Your favorite uncle.
your favorite uncle turns out to be gay. Oh my God. Like run and hide, everyone. Right? Not because of anything. And this is, it's the crux of it. They just don't want the exposure.
Right.
Because as soon as when you know someone, you start to see them as a human being, and you start to understand that, oh, they're not lying to me about this whole born this way thing, right? Like, or it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter how they became gay. They're a good person. I love them.
This is
right?
just a good person,
Yeah.
and I should probably not be cruel to them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And yeah,
he's like, and then people are going off after they have some exposure to these people, and they're not being cruel to the gay people.
yeah, yeah.
It's ruining everything.
So keep the gay kid out because you don't want your friend or your kids making friends with that kid and possibly finding out that their parents are okay.
Yeah. What if your kid comes home one day and decides to not be an asshole to gay people? Then what?
You have failed as a parent, Dan.
You have failed as a parent.
Yeah.
That is a failure.
Yeah.
Well, we had some folks write into us, call into us. We got missives from foreign lands from all over the world coming
really?
into us.
Wow.
This one is from Ricky, who says, "Hey guys, big fan of the show." Now, Frank, you'll recall that I went on a screed about how shitty the young people are. I just made myself as old as possible. And just said that I had a bunch of professor friends
Oh no.
who were experiencing some bad experiences.
Yeah, that was a dicey moment.
With the young
I'm just
people.
gonna say it. Yeah.
So Ricky wrote in to at least offer a counterpoint. Ricky says, "Hey, just heard you ask professors to write in about their overly sensitive students."
Okay.
I don't know if I said overly sensitive.
If you didn't say it, we all heard it, Dan.
Well, you need to listen better because it was warriors that were the real problem.
Okay. All right.
In my friends' classes. Anyway, Ricky says, "I've been a professor for 15 years now, and I haven't seen what you're talking about.
Oh.
I have never experienced these type of students, nor have I heard any stories from my department or university.
Huh.
The only time I hear these stories are from right-wing outlets like Fox News, and now you guys a little bit? It's confusing.
Oh.
I'm not saying it never happens, but the epidemic of snowflake students is just more right-wing hysteria, in my opinion."
Huh.
So yes, if I implied that it was the thing of snowflakes, it's the same concept, I think, that my professor friends have encountered, which is wokeness. I will say, like that's what the right wing people would call it, but it has gone too far in a couple places. Like some students who have demanded their way and not actually listened to what the professor actually wanted to teach them, and just demanded that the class go in a different direction, and that.
Oh, that's crazy.
In particular, in one case, a gay professor was told that he didn't understand queerness enough for them. He was teaching a class. Anyway, it was a lot.
Wow.
There was a mutiny in one of his classes.
Oh, geez.
So there you go. Anywho, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Every generation has to come up with its own way of doing things. I don't know shit. So I'll go with Ricky on this one.
All right.
We had a voicemail, did we not?
We do. Dan, a longtime listener and sometimes caller, Navy Dave, chiming in on something from probably about a month-ish ago that we talked about. We played a clip from Jonathan Shelley, I believe, is what happened. And he was saying some pretty awful things about Hemant Mehta.
Well, he was just saying awful stuff about all us atheists.
Yeah, but he was picking on
Hemant, yeah.
Hemant specifically. So let's have a listen to Navy Dave's take.
Great.
Hi, Frank and Dan. This is Navy Dave from the Middle East, undisclosed location. Anyway, I'm calling in primarily because I haven't called in for a long time. You may have known me as Desert Dave from San Antonio many years ago. But that was a different incarnation. Anyway, I'm listening to 578, and you mentioned Jonathan Shelley, one of my all-time favorites. And the thought crossed my mind when he was talking about Hemant Mehta. I would be curious to know how much time he has put in listening or reading to any of the things that Mr. Mehta has to say. Typically, these guys see that, oh, this guy's an atheist, and then they just go off about all the things that he's talking about. Anyway, I love you guys, and over here, you guys do so much to help keep me sane, or at least as sane as I ever get. Anyway, love you. Bye.
Well, Dave, thank you.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about the internet. One of the things that Frank and I have not engaged in at this point that we probably should but a lot of people do. It's flame wars with other creators. It helps everybody in terms of getting, listeners, readers, viewers, whatever they're going for.
Right.
And these Christian pastors, they love it. Your Greg Locks, your all these guys, they love getting mentioned by people who hate them. Hemant's a great thing because he's super active on Twitter. He's always following all of these guys, and then just he doesn't even have to comment. He just posts the things that they say,
Right.
because they're awful.
Yeah.
And then these guys see that. Of course they've got every Google alert possible for their own names or whatever, and then they flame him, and he flames them, and everybody wins. Maybe except us.
Well, Flame War isn't really our brand.
No,
I mean, we could try it.
Who should we pick on?
Oh, I don't know.
Who should we flame war with?
I don't know. Pick somebody. Yeah.
Yeah,
We will find someone, and then we'll just
you guys can write into us and tell us who we should be flame warring with.
We'll just gently lob. It won't be so much a flame war as like, what's sort of a warmth disagreement.
We're gonna be like Care Bears, where we shoot positivity out of our chests at people.
Yeah, isn't that what we should do? We should find
no. I'm going
one
Molotov
nice
cocktail.
thing.
I'm going full on flamethrowers.
Surely we could find one nice thing to say about Jonathan Shelley, don't you think?
I'm thinking
Probably one of them that you can't find anything nice to say.
I mean,
right?
he's not darkening the doorstep of that one strip mall anymore, so that's nice.
That's a nice thing. That's funny.
All right. Simon wrote into us. Simon we talked earlier about virtue signaling. Simon says, I am a former evangelical libertarian who has made the slow transition over the past decade to atheist, secular humanist, and democratic socialist. Oh, you've gone.
Wow.
You've gone too far.
Wow.
You could turn around and go back a bit.
But like that's a journey.
That is a journey.
Yeah,
I get it.
Love it.
I love it. Simon says, my wife, still a believer but not devout, had a conversation with my teenage daughter recently about her sexuality and orientation. She was vague, but specific enough that for my wife to draw the conclusion that boys may not be her thing.
Huh.
My wife came to me afterwards and was very upset, saying she wasn't sure what to say to our daughter. She was upset that she might not get to have grandkids and other such concerns.
Oh my God.
I listened to her recount the story, and when she got to the point in the conversation where my daughter said Dad would understand, I felt that I had reached peak fatherhood. I have signaled those virtues for most of her life and have done so deliberately. When she was probably 6 or 7, we were watching something on TV that made an offhand comment about non-traditional relationships. She was a kid and said something like, that's so silly, boys marry girls. I knew instantly that this moment was important. Without hesitation and in a conversational tone, I said something like, actually, lots of men marry men and women marry women. Happens all the time. I don't know much about fatherhood, but I know that virtue signaling is definitely part of it. I think that I think the fact that Christians and conservatives use the term in a pejorative sense is one of the great ironies of the modern age. These people define themselves entirely by their particular brand of virtue signaling.
Yeah.
And they expect the whole world to signal the same virtues or suffer their displeasure. I agree, Simon. That's exactly it. You're
well done,
supposed to
Simon.
signal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
good.
tell your wife it's going to be fine. You can
Yeah.
still have grandkids.
You can still have
I mean-
grandkids, or you can have
Or,
grand dogs.
listen,
You can always have grand
my
dogs.
mom had a straight kid. I'm a straight kid. I didn't give her any grandkids, so straightness is no guarantee. Especially
that's
these
fair.
younger people. A lot of them don't want to have kids. Anyway,
Yeah. But
There you go.
grand dogs are important.
grand dogs. That's the way. That's the way to go. Fur babies are that's where it's at. Well, do we have any people to thank?
We do indeed, Dan.
Hurrah!
We have a new set of supporters. Beth and Alan, that's a combo.
Oh,
Beth and Alan
teaming up.
teaming up to come in at the elder level.
Ooh.
Wow. That's some big stuff right there.
We're gonna give you some special powers.
Yeah, you get to go out and, I mean, the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to, like, knock some doors.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Right.
to send you out on a mission for Thank God I'm Atheist. You have to go and tell some folks about us.
Yeah.
Convert them to the podcast.
Yeah. But you can anoint with
Yeah.
oil now
Yeah.
and give
Go
blessings.
spray oil at people. Throw oil on people. It is your right and duty.
Yeah, and if you'd like to join them, you can. Our website is thankgodimatheist.com. Just click on the support tab and follow it over to PayPal or to Patreon. It's
Listen, if you
you've
do
got
this
options.
at the right level, you can get the Frank and Dan Diaries. People are really loving our cinematic series. We're talking about
Yeah.
movies. It's
Yeah.
going great. It's exciting the masses. But if you don't like us talking about movies, here's the thing about the Frank and Dan Diaries. You just write into us and tell us what you want us to talk about. And because you're a patron, we'll just do whatever you tell us.
We're
putty in your
obliged.
hands.
We are obliged to do whatever you say.
Yeah.
So there's that. And as always,
One
Dan.
final person.
Yep, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up.
So Dan,
Yes, sir.
you found this story and sent it over to me about a sex trafficking case that has gotten 46 men in North Texas arrested.
Yeah.
Men, upstanding men in the community, people who people probably have high opinions of, people like the local high school football coach,
Yeah.
a youth pastor, a director of operations at a hospital, are some of the sort of the vocations that are mentioned in this article of the men who were paying for sex in this commercial sex operation.
Or in some way complicit in the trafficking of people.
Yeah. Okay. Gross as well. But the whole
Yeah.
thing's really disgusting and gross, of course. And we just kind of started thinking about like what conservatives get wrong about the sexual predators and sexual people who engage in these sort of
what
activities.
sex trafficking looks like in general.
Yeah.
Because the conservative wet dream of what sex trafficking looks like, because they do like fantasize not about sex trafficking itself, but about how they are going to be the grand heroes of saving people from sex trafficking.
Sure.
And what they imagine is the movie Taken, where a cabal of evil people snatches, pretty young things right off the street and sweeps them up into a high stakes, billionaires buying them and whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it's not that has never happened, but that is such the dramatic minority of the cases.
Hmm.
You know, you've got what's his name, Ballard. What Project something or other.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I'm familiar with this. What is it?
Which is it was located. It was sort of here somewhere in Utah. Was where it was based, but it was an anti-sex trafficking thing, and he managed to fundraise just so much money.
Okay.
And it was all about, like, literally, he had a crack team of hyper militarized dudes who would, you know, parachute helicopter into small, you know, into third world countries and break up chains of blah 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 blah. And it was basically,
it sounds like, wow, they're out doing the Lord's work.
Yeah. Or they're making a movie. But what they weren't doing is really solving any problems.
Right.
They were raising a lot of money and sort of having a lot of bluster. And then they were, like, literally ruining the investigations, and they were also breaking international law.
Oh, sure.
But they were ruining real investigations that were happening, that were trying to get at the heart of the problem and stop the systemic problem.
Oh,
rather than
right.
just rescuing some of the victims, which is all he would do.
Right.
So he would rescue some of the victims, and then they would be replaced semi-instantaneously, and the problem would persist.
Right.
But that's not even. But you know, this article that we were reading from the Fort Worth Star Telegram points to the real issue, which is, like, the vast majority of real human sex trafficking, especially here in these United States, has nothing to do with that. It is trusted members of the community. It is football coaches and pastors and priests. You know, people who are beloved, people who, you know, their neighbors would say would swear up and down they were incapable of this sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
That's who we're talking about. Both as sort of consumers of trafficked people and as the traffickers.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I just want to, I kind of need to dwell on that moment or that detail for a moment, which is, you know, here are upstanding members of the community, respected members of the community, and they're engaged in an activity, you know, even if they're just the consumer, right? Even if they're just the participant, right? And not an organizer, like prostitution rarely is like engaged in a way that's, like, really where the participants are all consenting, right? There are settings where that happens, right?
And I think that actually the statistics may not bear that out.
Really?
There are plenty. Yeah, there are plenty of sex workers who are just doing it to make money. And I have zero. And
that's not what we're talking about. Yeah.
We have zero problem with that.
Right.
If someone's out there making money off of their body, I'm great with that.
Right. But that's not what these gentlemen are engaging in.
Right. But here, I think it would be useful to just mention, for instance, you know, we read earlier to each other, Frank, a definition of sex trafficking. This comes from the Justice for Victims of Trafficking Act of 2015. That's a legal thing that defines sex trafficking as recruiting, harboring, transporting, providing, obtaining, or patronizing, or soliciting of an individual through the means of force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of commercial sex. So we're not talking about, you know, individuals going out there and making their living through sex work. We are talking about people who are being coerced. And, you know, the thing that jumps to mind for me, Frank, is a story that we did a while ago, But it was when a lot of the stuff was coming out. I think it was in Pennsylvania. You know, they had done a report on priest pedophilia. And they had been shuffling, you know, they had been basically like signaling to each other. Priests had signaled to each other which kids they had already groomed to be quiet and to be.
Yeah, they were like giving them a special cross or something like that to wear.
Yeah, they were giving
they
them
all would
tokens
recognize.
that were signals to other priests.
Yeah.
This one
sick.
has already been groomed for this.
Ugh, God.
That is what sex trafficking looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
an
It takes
uncle-
many forms. Yeah.
when an uncle, you know, gets a trusted position with kids and then, you know, goes down an ugly road, that is what sex trafficking looks like in the United States. It's not the grand cabals shuffling people around. It's not even pimps anymore. It is trusted members of society doing awful things. And often it's the ones who have gained power. You know what I mean? It when you look at the pictures of people with Jeffrey Epstein, you're not looking at pictures of, you know, depraved lunatics. You're looking at pictures of people like Donald Trump and people who are what I'm
not
saying
a
is-
depraved lunatic.
well, what I'm saying is you're looking at people in power
Right. Yeah.
who may or may not have participated in the sex trafficking. I'm not accusing Donald Trump of that. I'm not accusing Donald Trump of that. But what I'm saying is these are the circles that Epstein ran in.
Mm-hmm.
So on the small scale, you know, who is more trusted and beloved, and you know, who has more power in a northern Texas
Mm-hmm.
community than a high school football coach,
Yeah. Yeah.
than a youth pastor?
yeah.
That's what we need to be looking out for. That's what human trafficking looks like.
Yep.
And so anyone who starts to use the term grooming to apply to when a drag queen is nice and does story hour for the kids and they're all entertained, that's not what grooming is. That's just making kids like somebody that you want them to hate.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of grooming. And you had a great point when we were talking earlier, Frank,
Mm-hmm.
about the word grooming and its misuse. Do you remember what you said?
No. Remind me.
You said, who benefits?
Oh,
If
right.
if the fucking word gets watered down or turned into something that it isn't,
Yeah.
the grand beneficiary of that are actual pedophiles.
Yeah. It's almost like some very high up person is rebranding
Some
that.
genius pedophile.
Is helping to or pushing to rebrand that word
Yeah.
to water its meaning down, to make it less effective to be able to have real conversations about, you know,
So it
dangerous
doesn't apply
people.
to the people who are doing the actual grooming.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a scary thing, and you know, it's until we can look clear-eyed at who the bad guys really are. And obviously, it's not everyone who loves and is kind to a child is not going to be a groomer. That is not how this works. But the people who are in trusted positions are the ones, you know, those trusted positions are the ones that are most likely to be the scary ones. The people, you know, what we're not saying is that someone who loves and is, you know, kind to your child is dangerous. What we are saying is that those positions are the ones are where we need to be looking,
Mm-hmm.
not drag queen story hour.
Right. Oh golly.
Yeah.
Jesus.
All right. Well, I'm sure a lot of our listeners may have things to say about this, may have better input to add to it, resources for people who need help. Feel free to send all of those into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
Yeah. Thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks so much to all of y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.